It was a big uproar in DC, and there were riots and burning of the city and looting. We were caught in the middle while we were living in Chinatown.
The riots had broken out on 7th Street, and the smoke and fires were billowing throughout the neighborhoods. And 14th Street, which was about 7 blocks from where we were.
At nighttime, I remember seeing the flames, I remember seeing the smoke, and I remember hearing the noise. It was scary. And then during the day when Daddy's trying to carry on our laundry business, some of the customers told him what was going on, and they told him to be careful.
My dad had a laundry, so we had a big plate glass window, and I just remembered hearing a crashing noise at night, and somebody had thrown a brick through my dad's window. You know, we were just kids, and to have somebody throw a brick through your window was frightening. We'd see fires all up and down 7th Street. They burned for like 3 days, and we were scared to death.
When Martin Luther King was killed, I was not politically aware. I just went to school, came home from school. My friend Lynn and I were on the bus coming from North Capitol Street, and people were in a panic, and we didn't understand why people were in a panic. And then as the bus driver pulled past 7th Street, we could see up 7th Street, north of Massachusetts Avenue, where the rioters were shoving another bus over sideways. So instead of stopping, our bus driver kept going.
I really didn't understand what was going on with the riots. I mean, I just thought it was amazing that people would just go crazy and just start breaking windows and just looting, just taking everything in sight.
DC, Chinatown, and most of DC all around here, they were burning. People were busting windows, you know. I happened to live in the next door to a liquor store, and once they busted the window, they looted all the beer and liquor out of there.
I remember seeing National Guards on the streets, on the street corners, and they're armed, and that was a very scary situation just to see the armed guards there.
Everything was on lockdown. So while Chinatown was about 2 blocks south of the major activity on 7th Street, there were a lot of other stores around downtown that were the objects of vandalism. And that included clothing stores, electronic stores, and liquor stores.
It was scary. It was scary during that time because we were thinking, is it going to come and affect us? Well, it did affect us in our neighborhood.
What happened was a young lady came in and yelled at us saying, "We're going to burn you down."
I do remember my father was scared. Someone gave him advice to paint Soul Brother on the front window of our laundry so that no one would want to damage our store, our laundry business. And at first, Daddy was hesitant. He had an argument saying, well, I'm not black. Why would I put that on? And Mama said, put it on because we don't want anything to happen to the store. Listening to the advice, he got some paint and painted Soul Brother on the front of our window. And that saved our laundry business.
My father had locked up our grocery store and had the rest of the family downstairs, and we were all in there. And we were watching looters run past our building. And you could hear popping noises, and we didn't know what that was, and I think it was gunfire. But they were breaking windows and they were looting and things like that.
My mom and dad opened up Singley Carryout right at 10th and I Street about 2 months before the riots. And let me tell you, riots were all around 10th Street, all around downtown DC. The electronic stores, the clothing stores, and liquor stores were all hit. One of the things we did is put up a Soul Brother sign. And stuck 2 of them right on the front. And for 3 days, no one touched it.
During the riots, I stayed away from DC, even Chinatown. But my father, you know, he has his business, so he went to the store to open it up. And, you know, he discovered nobody touched his store, so he felt comfortable. And I think the neighbors probably had the word out or whatever, you know, he's a good person and he's part of the neighborhood.
I just remember seeing fires and being in front of the TV all day, you know, watching what was happening. I went out with my friends and I hate to say that we participated, but I think the blacks they kind of identified with Chinese. I think their hatred was toward the whites. I didn't, or my friends didn't throw bricks or do anything. We just went down there to see what was happening, and a lot of the black people, they just gave us stuff, like join the party, here, have this, take this, and we just kind of did that. We were kids, we didn't know any better.
I saw people wheeling TVs down the street. Back a long time ago, TVs used to be very large. These were like these big consoles. Well, a couple of guys have been carrying one and dropped it off in an alley. We played in the alleys all the time because we didn't have playgrounds. They dropped this big TV off. We're looking at it and thinking, wow, what should we do, you know? They left it there. So we kind of hee-hawed for a while. We really didn't do anything about it. Well, those two guys came back with a car and picked it up and took it.
As a neighborhood, we were very lucky because all of 7th Street behind us was on fire. And there was a lot of looting and businesses were being robbed. But the neighbors on our 6th Street side came around the corner and they used soap and they marked our windows with a big white X. And they marked the fronts of our sidewalks with a big white X. And that was a signal to the looters and the rioters that we were okay and not to break our windows and burn us out. For the following week, there was a lot of police activity and there was a lot of National Guards around. We were basically shut down. The entire neighborhood was just shut down for a week.